This episode is proudly sponsored by HASA, the trusted choice for liquid chlorine. It's better because it offers the highest purity, works instantly, and contains no added CYA. By the bottom feeder, professional-grade battery-powered swimming pool vacuum system, it sucks to clean pools, so cleaning pools sucks less. Get $100 off the bottom feeder with code DVB100. Skimmer, trusted by over 30,000 pool service professionals across North America. Skimmer software helps you save time, grow revenue, and boost your 5-star reviews. Whether you're just starting out or expanding your team, Skimmer's easy-to-use tools and expert support have you covered. Upgrade your business in 2025 with Skimmer. Try Skimmer for 30 days for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.
The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show. The Pool Guy Podcast Show.
Hi, welcome to the Pool Guy Podcast Show. In this podcast, I'm going to cover several things regarding staining in the pool. I'll go over some typical pool stains. I'll also go over some ways you can protect yourself out on your pool route when you're servicing a pool that has existing stains or maybe new stains appeared in there. And I'll go over, of course, some cures and remedies for staining in a swimming pool. Join my coaching program and take your pool service to the next level. Connect with other pool pros in your area, gain valuable knowledge, and transform your business with personalized one-on-one advice from me. With over 36 years of experience, I'm here to help you succeed like never before. Learn more at poolguycoaching.com. I mentioned this before, but when you bid on a new pool, you want to walk around the pool, much like if you rented a car. I'm sure everyone has rented a car at some point in their life. When you pick up the rental car, the technician that's there will walk around the rental car with you, pointing out different things. He'll have a sheet that kind of looks like the car that you're renting, and he'll make marks on there where there's an existing dent or a scratch. That way, when you bring the car back, he'll know what's a new scratch, what's a new dent. However, it's kind of interesting whenever I drop off a rental car, and I've rented several over the years, usually the technician just kind of looks at the car. I only had, I think, one walk around the car itself. Most of them just take the keys back and say thank you without going back out there. But that's just a little side note. But I guess they inspect it later, hopefully, to check for any new dents or scratches. But you should be doing the same thing when you're getting a new service account, walking around looking for any kind of defects. Now, here's a little caveat here. If you are doing a green pool cleanup, you can't, of course, see the surface. There's no way to know what stains are existing. Sometimes the customer may accuse you of staining a pool when you do the green pool process. I've had this happen to many members on my group, and it could happen to you as well. So you may just want a simple waiver, something that says, I don't know the condition of the surface, so I cannot be held liable for any stains after the green pool cleanup is completed. That's pretty simple, cut and dry. Nothing really should happen at that point. And realistically, what can the customer do if there is a stain on the bottom that they accuse you of creating when you clean the pool? I mean, if they take you to small claims court, which is a hassle for both of you, it's never going to get to like a big litigation unless it's something huge. The only time you're going to see a pool company in court is maybe a builder when you're building a pool and there's a major problem where it costs the customer $150,000 or $200,000. A lot of times that's when you build an infinity edge pool and then the hillside starts sinking and the pool starts cracking. I've seen court cases related to that. But as far as a stain in the pool, it's more or less just you getting kind of shaken up by the customer saying that they're going to sue you. There's not much they can do because if they do go to small claims court and it does get before a judge there, he'll look at the evidence, look at the picture, and he'll pretty much conclude there's no way to know when the stain was there, whose fault it was. It's just like if you were the judge and someone brought this to you and there's a stain and someone's saying that this person caused it in the pool, it really is something that doesn't go very far. They may be upset, they may want to cancel service, that's perfectly fine at that point, but there is not a lot of recourse. It's just a bad feeling when there's a stain in the pool that's discovered that maybe you created during the green pool cleanup, which more than likely you did not. The worst thing that could probably happen after the green pool cleanup is they say, hey, this stain wasn't there before in the deep end and you caused it. I'm not going to pay you for it. And that may be the extent of it, which would be a shame because you didn't cause the stain unless you did cause the stain, which is somewhat hard to do. The only time that you can cause stains in a green pool cleanup, if you're using the HASA Algaban trichlor, granular trichlor, and it piles up in certain areas in the pool. Yes, I can see that happening and you burning the plaster, but most of the time you're using just liquid chlorine or cal hypo. Only the real professionals that have used the granular trichlor will attempt it, and we know better as far as overusing the product and staining the pool. I wouldn't recommend using the granular trichlor in a green pool if you're new to the industry and have never used the granular trichlor before. So let me back up again and go back to when you're walking around the pool, just as if you were inspecting a car you're going to rent at a rental agency. When you get to the pool, have a clipboard, maybe have a crude drawing of a pool, and then you want to mark anywhere where you see a stain and note it. Sometimes you'll see a rust stain on the step area. If you see a chip in the plaster, mark that down. Any kind of cracks in the plaster, any kind of discoloration, mark that down. Any kind of mottling in the plaster. So mottling is like a natural occurrence of the plaster. You can't really notice it too much in a white plaster pool, but if you walk around your neighborhood or if you look at your driveway, you'll see that the cement has different color tones, kind of almost like a topographical map that you would see that shows elevation. And this is kind of what happens with the pool surface. It's called mottling. And this is much more noticeable in a darker colored plaster pool. I think like a light gray or dark gray plaster pool is probably one of the worst because you'll see a lot of the different coloration in the plaster mix itself. It's normal, so note that on your notepad. And then, of course, you want to do a printout for the customer, noting all these pre-existing stains. They'll see that you're pretty thorough, and if there's any future stains, then there's a distinction between what's existing and what may have been caused by you. Now, the only way you're going to stain a pool again is with certain chemicals or certain treatments of the pool, and I would not recommend, again, using the granular trichlor as a sanitizer or as a method to remove algae unless you're really an expert with this product. You can also stain or damage the plaster if you use anything harsh or if you scratch it. Keep an eye on your leaf rake. There's that leading edge on a leaf rake where there's a hard plastic. Underneath that is a piece of aluminum. And if you're not careful and you're not vigilant with your equipment, I have seen scrapes and scratches of the plaster with a leaf rake where that leading edge or that rubber part was worn down and you've scratched the plaster of the pool. Other times where I've seen pool pros cause staining of the pool is when they're doing a startup with new plaster. Now, PebbleTech is pretty much, river rock. There's not much you can do to stain it at the startup, but I've seen a lot of pool pros when they start up a standard white plaster, colored plaster pool, leave streaks in the new plaster, and this can be done in a few ways. The first is using a stainless steel brush when you're brushing the new plaster. So you never want to use any kind of poly mix with stainless steel bristles or a pure stainless steel brush on pool plaster that's fresh. You'll kind of streak it. You'll see the brush marks in that plaster. It's just not something you would want to do. The second way I've seen staining or marks left in the plaster, I guess I'll call it marks left in the plaster, but a lot of people will call it staining because it does look like a stain later on when you see the discoloration, you see the long streaks in the plaster, but it is more or less marring the plaster or scratching the plaster, I guess, before it's cured. Another way is when they're using a manual vacuum the first week. This is something that they should know, but a lot of people don't know this. But the first 3 weeks of the plaster as it's curing, you really want to put nothing in there that could leave marks on the plaster. I've seen dog paws in there permanently. Then when dogs walked in the pool, I've seen feet marks where little kids went into the pool the first week when the plaster was curing. They're just kind of permanent in that plaster. But the wheels on a manual vacuum will leave these long streaks in the pool parallel to each other. And if you vacuum the entire pool with the manual vacuum the first week, you're going to see later on, a month or two down the road, you're going to see these permanent wheel tracks in the plaster. And then the third way I've seen plaster streaked is when an automatic pool cleaner was put in the pool too soon and the wheels or even the tracks of it leave marks all over the plaster. And I mentioned that if people get in or animals get in, they'll also leave stains. I've even seen bird feet when they have the entry that's kind of like a shallow 4-inch entry. I've seen actually bird feet in there staining the plaster as well. So be very careful with a plaster pool on startup, and nothing will stain the pool. I guess I should add one more, and that's in the initial fill of the pool. I've seen this happen many times. You want to avoid these two things happening. One, you should use a garden hose to fill the pool, and it should be down in the deep end, and you should tie a rag around the head of the hose so that when the water's coming out, it's not going to stain the plaster. So I've seen a hose thrown into a pool with no rag on it, and that stained the plaster. I've also seen a pool being filled from a in-deck fill line, and then there's a streak of water that's going down from the top of that fill hole on the side of the wall all the way down to the deep end as that water kind of trickles in until the pool is filled. And then the third thing I've seen is someone stopping the pool being filled on the first day when the plaster is just laid in there. And if you stop the water at any point during the fill, there's going to be a ring around that plaster, and it's actually irremovable, or you can't get rid of that ring around the plaster. It may fade over time, get lighter, but you're always going to see that ring around where you stopped that water and started the water up again. So that's something that you don't want to do. You definitely want to know how to start up a pool when you're starting a pool up, and you want to avoid these mistakes. So these are ways you can stain the pool when it's fresh, and you can stain the pool with chemicals later on when you're taking care of that pool. Let me talk a little bit about stuff that falls in the pool that stains the plaster of the pool or surface of the pool. Even PebbleTech, vinyl, and fiberglass can be stained with this. Anything metal will stain the pool plaster. So I would recommend any kids that are playing with toys in the pool, they only use pool toys that are kind of certified. You can see them at the store. They're made for swimming pools. No Hot Wheel cars, no Nerf guns. Believe it or not, I've seen many stains from Nerf guns on the bottom of the pool because there are screws in the Nerf guns holding them together. I've seen stains from Hot Wheel cars. I've even seen stains from coins that were left in the pool for a very long time, causing some staining. Any kind of nails that fall in the pool, this is very important. Any kind of nails around the pool area, you want to avoid them falling in the pool. They will rust pretty rapidly and leave a stain in the pool of the shape of the nail, basically. Probably one of the worst ones that I've seen that was unusual is, I'm not sure how it got in the pool. Well, I kind of know how it got in the pool, but the stain was pretty incredible. But it was a 10-pound dumbbell that was in the pool that the customer's son dropped in there. He was just playing around and he threw it in the pool like, ha ha. Well, it wasn't really ha ha after I moved it, because there was a round stain on the bottom of the pool that was pretty permanent. I tried the stain eraser, I tried other things to get rid of it, but till this day that stain is still there. Now, getting the weight out was really problematic for me, because think about it, a 10-pound flat weight in the bottom of the pool, how in the world are you going to get this out? There's no way to create enough friction with the leaf rake to get it in there. You can't use your brush to pull it up the side of the pool. So I had this ingenious idea, and it took me a long time to figure this out. I stood there for a few minutes, actually, and I thought about it. Okay, how am I going to get this weight out without getting into the pool and actually physically grabbing it out? So I came up with this brilliant idea of pushing it to the step area of the pool, and then I got it to the steps, and I tipped it up on the step using the leaf rake, and then I pushed it again with a brush onto the next step, tipped it up again, and by the time I got it to the top step, I was able to reach in and grab it. It took a while, it took some thinking, but basically I pushed that weight to the step and got it out. Now, during windstorms, I've seen lawn furniture blow in there, lawn chairs. The bottom or the sides of the lawn chairs stain the pool plaster as well. So any metals that are around the pool are something that will stain the pool. One thing I should mention that someone mentioned before that I neglected to mention is fertilizer pellets. So a lot of gardeners will use these white fertilizer pellets. You've seen them at Home Depot, kind of white and gray kind of color. Maybe off-white would be a better description, or light gray. And these are these pellets that they throw onto the grass. Technically, they're supposed to use a device where they roll over the grass with it and the pellets kind of come out and spread out. Well, these fertilizer pellets actually have metal in them and they will stain the pool. And so you'll see little tiny rust dots all over the pool, staining the pool. Now, I've had some really good success with a product called HASA Super Stain Out. But for this to be effective, you have to catch those fertilizer pellet stains immediately, which in the first couple of days. So if the customer notices any kind of staining in their pool, I definitely would recommend having them text you right away, because this is time dependent. Sometimes I've seen, little staples. So what happens, anything that falls in the pool, but there was one homeowner that had Christmas lights in the backyard, and they used staples to hold them into the side of the trim of the house, I should say. And when they pulled the lights off, some of these staples flew into the pool and stained the pool. And if you get it out right away, and this is another reason why a suction side cleaner or even a pressure side cleaner are really relevant in a situation like this. A lot of times the suction side cleaner or even the pressure side cleaner will pick up these little staples, and they'll be in the canister, thankfully, or in the bag for the cleaner, the Polaris cleaner, whatever pressure side cleaner you're using, and they'll help remove or prevent some of the staining in the pool, thankfully, but not all of the staining. So if the customer can get to you and call you right away, you can get over there with a quart of the HASA Super Stain Out. You can also use the Biodex Aquadex 50. It's a good alternate stain remover that I've found really effective in removing these stains. But immediate attention is important for either the HASA Super Stain Out or the Biodex Aquadex 50 to be somewhat effective. Now, the Aquadex Biodex 50 I've had really good results with this one also. When you have kind of like a brownish stain in the pool, now it's probably a metal stain. It could be an organic stain as well. There's different ways to tell. One way to tell if it's organic or metal is to get a 3-inch trichlor tablet, and if you rub the stain with the tablet and it fades away, there's a good chance that's an organic stain. Organic stains tend to form when the chlorine zeroes out for a long period of time. If the water's not circulating well, if you have a eucalyptus tree on your route, you'll recognize organic staining. The eucalyptus leaves are a great example of organic staining. You'll skim those leaves up and you'll see actually almost like a silhouette of that leaf there. Now, the HASA Super Stain Out is also great for organic staining. And the Biodex Aquadex 50 is great for lifting what could be organic or metal staining in the pool. I've even had really good success with the Biodex Aquadex 50 when you have a trichlor tablet that's in a floater that goes onto the step area of the pool and sits there. So what happens is that the trichlor tablet has a pH of about 2.7, because there's cyanuric acid in there. So if it's in a floater, even if you don't have the floater open too much, and it sits on that first step of a pool, some of that residue from that trichlor coming out of the floater will burn the surface of that step. And I've had pretty good success using the Biodex Aquadex 50 to lighten that stain up pretty good. And it does really good on those brown stains again that are all over the pool surface. It's really effective. It will lower the chlorine level pretty dramatically in the pool. So that's a little side note. So keep in mind that will happen with this particular product. And I've also had some success with a device called the Stain Eraser. And this fits on your pool pole. It has a kind of a sandpaperish type, or more of a pliable, rubbery end on it. And you can use this to scrape stains off plaster. And I've had some good success with trichlor staining on the bottom of a pool. Now, of course, you want to try the HASA Super Stain Out and a Biodex Aquadex 50 to lighten up the trichlor stain on the bottom. But trichlor tablets, if they fall out of a floater and land on the bottom of the pool, you would want to remove those immediately if you're the homeowner, and the pool service that gets there maybe too late to do this. But that will actually leave a stain on the bottom. It'll burn the plaster. It'll burn the Pebble Tech. It'll burn the fiberglass pool. It'll permanently stain a vinyl liner. So you don't want to use trichlor floaters in a vinyl liner pool at all for that reason. And basically, this will burn the plaster. And the stain eraser is pretty good for erasing some of that stain. You're basically scraping the plaster, but be careful you don't mar it too much. Same thing with nails and rust stains. I've had pretty good success with the stain eraser, but the most effective way to remove a rust stain is to get some ascorbic acid on top of it. So if you go to Costco and you buy the large vitamin C tablets that are not the ones that are soft gel, but the hard ones, and you can actually put them in a sock or a pantyhose, or you can just put them directly on the stain. You can rub them on the stain as well. And this should remove the rust stain pretty well. I've had really good success removing little rust stains on step areas by just rubbing it with the vitamin C tablet. In fact, I have a video on YouTube that kind of highlights this process, and you can see the great results it has. So the ascorbic acid in the vitamin C is a great way to remove the rust stains in a pool. If you're interested in learning about how different metal stains look in the pool, if you go to seeyoulater.com, that's CULATOR.com, on their website, click on the Identify Pool Stains tab, and they have a bunch of photos on their website with different metal pool stains. You can see iron staining in a pool, you can see copper stains in a pool, you can see manganese stains in the pool, and you can see the effects of the SeeYouLater 4.0 when it's extracting the metals from the water as well. It's a great place to learn the staining and getting an idea of what the different stains look like. If you see copper staining, it'll have more of a purple look to it. It may be reacting with the cyanuric acid. It may be more of a black stain. If you see iron staining, it's more of a brown stain. So these are great ways to identify stains. And if you do pool service, I highly recommend going over to the site, also taking the courses they offer on metal staining and metal staining removal. Now, I didn't touch too much about metal staining removal, but there is a process. And of course, if you go to the SeeYouLater site, they actually have a kit. So if you click on shop over there, they have a metal removing stain remover kit, and it's right here. So this kit is pretty good. It comes with everything you're going to need to remove the metal if possible. Sometimes you have to drain the plaster pool or PebbleTech pool and acid wash it to remove the stains. But this has a copper stain remover, a rust stain remover. That's basically ascorbic acid and citric acid. Then you have a kind of a metal sequestering agent. And then you have the SeeYouLater 4.0, which is the only known thing that will remove the metal ions from the pool up to 4 parts per million of metal. And the kit describes how to use the particular products to remove the metal staining in the pool. Now again, some stains may not lift out. You're going to have much greater results if you get the stains right away. And I find that this product or this stain kit works excellent on vinyl pools and fiberglass pools. And it does work fairly well in plaster pools. Again, if you catch the staining immediately. If you wait, 2, 3, 4 weeks, a month, the chances of removing the stain becomes slimmer, but the stains may lift up even if they're older using the sequestering agent and the SeeYouLater 4.0. But here's the last thing that I will leave you with is that you don't want to make any guarantees or predictions or overpromise and underdeliver for your customer. So if you do see a stain in the pool, even a nail or rust stain, let them know that you'll make an effort to remove it, but you may not be able to remove that stain, or you may still be able to see it. You may be able to fade it. But if you overpromise, if you get to a pool and say, yeah, I can clean this out. I know I can treat this metal. I can get these stains out. No problem. You're really setting yourself up for a world of hurt. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. More or less, I would say, underpromise and overdeliver. Say, well, I'll give it my best shot. I can't guarantee anything. Hopefully I can remove the stain. And let me try some different products that I know of. And just leave it at that. And if it's successful, you'll be the hero. If you fail, they already know that you set them up for kind of failure. And the same goes for an acid wash. If you want to do an acid wash to remove staining, sometimes it'll work really well. Sometimes it's kind of iffy. Sometimes it doesn't work too well at all. So you can't, of course, guarantee anything when you're trying to remove any kind of staining from the pool. If you're looking for other podcasts I've recorded, you can find those on my website, swimmingpoollearning.com. On the banner, click on the podcast icon. And if you're interested in the coaching program that I offer, you can learn more at poolguycoaching.com. Thanks for listening to this podcast. Have a great rest of your week, and God bless. This episode is brought to you by HASA, providing products that deliver clean, healthy water for every aspect of everyday life. The bottom feeder battery-powered vacuum system, portable, powerful, and only weighs 12 pounds. And Skimmer. Get Skimmer, America's #1 pool service software. Podcast listeners can try Skimmer for free at getskimmer.com/poolguy.